Hello, beautiful people. Good luck to me trying to make this episode short. But whenever I start talking about serious stuff, that is, again, challenging for me to do because I want to give you tips, okay? So we are going to switch gears just when you've thought you've heard me talk about everything. Not everything, but a lot of things. Have been wanting to about this for a couple of years because it was when I was designing some series during my like firefighter stuff, all regarding mindset, right? And these are lots of things that a lot of us go through, the issues I like to talk about. So I'm just putting my twist spin on it. So today's topic is going to be about being offended. I don't know I'm hoping that this is going to help prevent you from being offended or so easily because I can explain it now later in life because I used to get so offended by a lot of things and triggered by a lot of things, right? Which I realized was a lot of programming and conditioning from the media and society. Right. This was not in the home. A lot of the stuff I talk about, these issues, is just my observances, is that the word, of what I have seen in the public and what I feel like, kind of like what I was taught. It's kind of like the gun thing, the fear of that and what you see and associate with it, right? You've heard me talk about that maybe a little bit. And all this boils down to, people, is I'm going to say, because I feel like a lot of us still don't get it, or I wouldn't get it if you tried to talk about this earlier in life, is the hyper focusing on people. That means what they are uh, doing, saying, thinking. I think that was the other one. Uh, and I mean that and I mean in the way of just the cultural focus, on exactly those things, and including finding the one. It's like the focus. That's why I say the focus. And so I am trying to, and that distracts us away from looking at ourselves, dealing with ourselves. The only benefit, or right now, that I can think of actually focusing on others is helps me understand myself. So the more I understand them, the more I understand me. And we are all teachers of each other, and we are mirror images of each other. So that's what I want to start off by saying in terms of the being offended. When you become more confident in yourself, and I'm going to give you 3 examples today, as long as I can get it in this recording for the second time now. But before I do that, this book is a great book during self-defense times. I like this because he makes lots of references to Japanese, well, martial arts mindset, but maybe I'll say Japanese. I don't even know if I want to call it proverbs, but in the first part of the book, and I don't know the page number, but it's in the first part where he says, when man throws spear, move head, something like that, right? And I love that. And then he says some other things about, basically, with verbal attacks and acknowledging that crap is being flung. That's what he says is the first step in dealing with it. And the second step is, it admit it is being flung at you, then congratulate yourself. It's okay to be questioned, heckled, or even attacked. If you are willing to take it, you should be commended. The only way to avoid criticism is either to live in a capsule or spend your whole life trying to please everybody. So not everybody is flinging crap on purpose. I wanted to say that. Sometimes, though, subconsciously things will come out when people are angry or whatever it is, right? It depends on the situation. I've looked at it from many different perspectives, people. I think we like to think that people are doing it purposefully, but they aren't all doing it like that, okay? So don't judge. So pick up this book, even if you don't read it from front to back. Reading it in parts of it is really great. He was a former cop and was very much into martial arts and all that sort of stuff. So this is a pretty popular, famous book. There's actually an institute, I think it's Verbal Judo Institute, that I was going to have somebody on there. The Gentle Art of Persuasion. I was going to have somebody on my show from there. Excuse me, but I never ended up using it. So let's get right to it. Background story, I just told you, programming, conditioning of what I've seen, and my 3 examples that I want to give, because these are my personal experiences. Growing up in rural Pennsylvania, one of my deep seated challenges is existing in the world or as a teenager, right? And not feeling white enough according to this physically beautiful image that I saw on TV, which was pretty much, I'll just say it, blonde, white, skinny, you know, C cup bra size, hourglass. While I love the hourglass figure, I guess I kind of have that sometimes. Or later in life when I filled out. But okay, I'm getting sidetracked. So, Oriental, I was always very offended, I guess, sensitive about this word because not only not everybody is from the Orient. I don't even know that they consider it that region of the world, the Orient anymore. Thailand is actually Southeast Asia, but the point is back 20, 30, 40, back history. That's what Asian a lot of Asians were referred to as, right? Even if you're just talking about them and rugs and furniture. Well, the first example in saying that is, so where I grew up, not that I faced a lot of racism. A lot of the kids I grew up with, they were, they knew me and that, I was weird dresser and all that stuff. And that's, but as I got into high school, of course, there were a few of those people, which I think is really interesting that they were dudes, if we want to call them rednecks or whatever, like straight across, not even it's not considered a mullet, I guess, but straight across bangs and long ass hair, right? And everybody in my school loved Def Leppard and Skid Row. For those of you that don't know, the hair metal bands, Queensryche, all that stuff that I did not like. And so pushing me into my locker and stuff like that, who knows, maybe they were crushing. So I was always sensitive about that. And basically, my in laws, when they would later in life, my in-laws would use that word in referencing the type of people, Asians, right? So I would always get triggered and go inside of myself, maybe get mad. I never would say anything, right? I just feel bad about myself. And it would make me feel more so the outcast in the family, which I can understand why people also in within your culture, right? You want relatability. So when you marry date outside of that, there's maybe religious issues, there's different, right? Different things. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that. It just might present a challenge. Okay, so they're not being racist or anything like that. We're just going to say they are ignorant or not informed. And that was just maybe how they would talk when they were trying to describe somebody. Again, not trying to be racist or mean or anything. So it took me a very long time to even put those two together. Like, why am I getting upset? Number one example, okay? So look at, we'll go through the steps of look at who's saying it and why are you getting offended? Like, why would I get offended if like it didn't resonate with me? So I must have felt bad, right? Thinking I was Oriental, that they're saying Oriental, that I am Oriental, and there's something wrong with being Oriental, and maybe that they're judging and lumping, like at least say something else, you know what I mean, or just say Asian. I don't think there's derogatory for. Well, they wouldn't need to say derogatory. Just maybe the fact if they just had said, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so that is one example. And then two. So there was a lady that I worked with, and we were in the very first salon that I worked with, and I'm gonna give you the background. She was not maybe she could have been a Karen, okay? I don't know. But she had a similar name, we'll just say that. And we would be in the break room, and she was again just talking. I'm going to say she was a very conservative Christian lady. And while I have my things around that, right, and my associations, just like this example of being whether they're very judgmental, they're very strict in their ways. Like she probably would have been pissed if her daughters didn't turn out. I don't know if she had two daughters. Pissed if they didn't turn out how she wanted and all these sorts of things, right? She would be horrified. Leading into the next example, horrified if they got tattooed. So this is only 20 years ago, people, but I'm going to give the example. So she would say that she thought that people that had colored hair or piercings or dressed weird, they were just weird and she didn't understand them. She'd just be like, I just don't understand that. I don't understand why they would do that. And I know I've said that about some stuff, but that specifically would trigger me because of my feelings of judgment put upon me growing up, and that I was weird, even though I was being an individual, being punk rock, whether it's you're having piercings, which is also, I feel like, an ethnic thing. I don't really know its origins, but having mohawks, having colored hair, having this and that, just dressing weird, what would be considered weird, I already had felt like an outcast, or I was making myself an outcast, right? Because nobody in my skid row, those people had any awareness of anything probably beyond that, or pop, right, in that school. So punk rock, hardcore, anything outside of that is weird. Okay. Hence why I could see more harassing, but that did not happen so much. We were just always known growing up. We were the weird girls, right? Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, all those movies that I love. 16 Candles, The Story. Oh my God, just those stories. Okay. So, third example, going back to the tattoos. So, for those of you who don't know, back then, tattoos were looked at as you must be a criminal, is number one. And this lady specifically actually would say that people that had tattoos had a lot of problems. Here we go with the triggering. I did not have tattoos at the time. I'm surprised I actually don't have more now. I'm kind of in a rebellious nature again because now it is trendy and I don't want to do it. While I do want, so I have two. They're both tie writing. Um, while I love it as beauty and artwork, I've always loved it. I love it as like an enamoring of the body and just that. But sometimes I think it has the ability of looking dirty, but I do like them. So I would get offended with that. And I just remember, I don't know how many times it had happened. I walked away and I was like, why do I care what she thinks? Like, what does it even matter? And why am I even getting mad? Because I would really hold on to it. Right. So this is a good way to explain, like, don't attach. Not only, I mean, don't attach to people's words so deeply. Like, for what? You're spending, and I look at it as wasted energy. Okay. Again, on what people are saying, doing, and thinking. Right. So that goes into baby step number one of awareness. When you are looking at these situations, just stop. Okay. If you catch yourself in situations you get offended, I don't, there's so many different examples I'm not going to give you. I'm just going to give from my personal experience. Okay. Look at who is saying it, right? I know there's encounters in the public. We're just out for a bit, or whatever it is. There's that situation. Then there's repeated exposure, right? Family, friends, whatever it is. But, I worked with this lady and I did see her here and there, and it just made me irritated. And then it made me think bitter just about even like Christians and different things like that. But there's so many, which is basically not being loving and embracing, And so, of course, there are a lot of beautiful Christian people that follow through and are, good people and live the lifestyle, right? The whole everything of love. But it gave me a bad impression of that, right? So it furthered that period of my time where I thought very bitterly, right, about people, specifically Christians at that time. Okay, till later, mid 20s, I started like reading more and accepting more, and anyway, okay, more so of that, more so of that, and not really meeting more Christians. I didn't really have that much of experience even up until now with, I would say, Christians specifically, right? We're going to say that are super loving or judgmental, but I'm also not around enough people really close enough talking, right? Does it make sense? Okay. Number two, okay, number one was look at who is saying the comment. That was number one. Number two is asking yourself why. Why do you care? Who cares? Like, if they don't agree, like I said, like, if they don't agree with how you look, how you live, it's all kinds of things, right? We can say, we can use as an example of being offended. If somebody wants to say that they don't like your lifestyle, or something you did, or just because they didn't do it and they don't agree with it, so they're judging you. Like, just don't take it when they are saying it. That could be the example of the taking personally. That's their experience, that's their opinion, that's their story. Okay, people are speaking from their stories, just like I am. And I would just like to help you decide for yourself, find your own sense of the truth, like I did. And for some reason, like a lot of us growing up, yes, you become an adult, but you don't, I feel like I didn't process that, like, I don't want to say I didn't know I had my own thoughts. I had my own thoughts, but there were certain things of how I perceived the world that I thought were like a standard truth, if that makes sense. The third thing is, the tip is, you can think of something for yourself, people, and there's lots of different tips in this book. I think mostly he was dealing this in regards with dealing people on the streets, and so he needed a way to kind of, I guess, compassionately assert himself. There is some stuff the way he talks, even if I wasn't talking, I'm not a cop, like I wouldn't say, and I just think it's embarrassing. But uh, something I use, and a lot of my other negative thinkings that I encourage rinsing and repeating the use of, is cancel, delete. That's it. Cancel, delete. You could even use love. Just use the word love, because the thought, okay, they're not being of love, I guess, by saying something like that. But like I said, sometimes people aren't intentional. So whenever these negative feelings come up inside of you, whatever it is, these are the couple of recommendations I have. There's lots of other things you can do, lots of different techniques, lots of different things if you're interested in managing or overcoming, right? I feel like it's more so managing, because throughout life, things I feel like are going to continue to happen if you are around others, live with somebody or not. Something's going to happen. And I know I just kept getting triggered over and over again with abandonment stuff. And it took me a very long time. I don't even know to say heal from it, but I know I stopped having certain thoughts. And even with any sort of, I didn't do any long term hypnosis to get over that. Sometimes I wish, I think I felt like it wasn't going to stick. Like maybe in some ways it wasn't going to work, because I was doing so many other things um, that I guess weren't working. Maybe I was being negative thinking about it, even though I know there's so many things, that benefits that can come, from it. That's how a lot of people stop addictions. So a lot of people, right? Or different fears and different things like that. So third step is cancel, delete, cancel, delete, cancel, delete, rinse and repeat. And I'm going to go ahead and end this. I really like my videos to stay under 20 minutes. I want to share with you all just all the different things that I've learned in dealing with others. And even still, as time goes by, I kind of think the more, just having people, yes, you can have less people, less conflict will help have less conflict. But anytime you have an interaction with somebody, there can be opportunities for misunderstandings. And like I said, I could have even have asked my in-laws, so like, so do you know that there's another word to use for Oriental? um, I like just Asian. That's fine. Or whatever it is. And I don't know. It's just inviting conversation instead of just holding it inside and running with thoughts and ideas like a lot of us do. Same thing too I could have done in this situation with, I told you, with the coworker. And Again, I could have just asked her more questions like, why do you feel like that? Why do you this or that? But I didn't even engage. And that's when I was first learning social skills too of owning my own business. So I was probably just still too shy and I didn't know how to approach. Okay, so the walkaways, 3 steps that maybe will give you some help and some tips, and maybe you thought was interesting. There's so many other facets that I could talk about again on um, the being offended. I don't even know what else because I'll have something else to talk about. But yeah, the over communicating comment that I made earlier, I really don't know what that means. And as far as me moving past it, look at it, I'm still talking about it. I heard about it yesterday. But it really kind of makes me bitter. And it makes me bitter and negative about talking to people really about anything. So, hope you all got some benefit from this episode. Hope that I was clear. Hope that if this doesn't work for you and cancel, delete, or the love thing, maybe there is something else. Like I said, there's lots of different techniques out there. And again, if you find yourself in these situations, just asking, like, why you even care? Why are you getting offended? Why do you care why do you care what they think? This is ultimately what it is, and let it go. Ask yourself how much energy you're putting into these situations. Like, is it worth it? Again, not hyper focusing on people. Okay, people, this is what I mean. Work on you. And the bottom line is the more you work on you and working on things like this, you will feel happier. I can only guarantee it because I experienced the same thing. So that's how I can come to say that that is my truth. I have become a happier person as a result of getting past the negative thinking about myself, right? About myself, negative thinking about myself. I have become happier. Okay. Bye bye.